Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I am planning to read in March. I'm not taking part in any readathons or read-alongs that I'm aware of at the moment in March. I think there's another round of Vaultathon coming up, so if there is, I will make a separate TBR for that when I know what that is and what the challenges are. Hello, Editing Kerry here with a quick update to say that just after I filmed my TBR, Margaret from The Word Nerd posted her announcement for the third round of Vaultathon. It's from the 16th to the 22nd of March, and the film this time is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. So if you don't know, Vaultathon takes a underrated Disney film and pairs it with some challenges, and then there's a group book which meets all the challenges. So the group book for this time is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which I have already read, so I'm probably not going to reread that, even though that would meet all the challenges. I might pick up Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor instead, because that still hits most of the challenges, and then the other challenges that doesn't hit I'll try and make up from the other books that I'm already reading. But for now I'm just going to talk about more general about the books that I'm trying to get to in March. So I'm going to preface this by saying any books that I haven't managed to read in February that I plan to read in February are going to roll over, so I'm not going to talk about them because it will just be me repeating the same thing every month otherwise, because some books stay on my TBR, like my I want to read soon TBR, for a really long time because I'm a mess. So instead I'm just going to talk about the new things that are going on my TBR for March. I'm going to start with my book death row books. One of these has been on my book death row for a long time and the other one for a short time, so I used a random number generator to pick these two books. The first one is The Lottery by Beth Gooby. This has been on book death row for a while and it's just one I haven't got around to. This is about a school which has a secret group called the Shadow Council, who are a group of students that sort of run the school, and every year they pick a victim to be their slave, and it's done by lottery, and the main character has been picked this year to be the Shadow Council's slave. It's got sort of quite thrillery vibes to it. I really do like this cover. It's quite pretty. It's quite short, it's got quite big print. I think I probably will get to it. It's been on death row for a while because I'm reluctant to part with it, so hopefully I will get to that. And then the other one has been on death row a very short time. This one has only just gone on there, so it won't have been on my book death row update. Every month I'm trying to read the first chapter of some of the lowest rated books on my Goodreads to decide whether I want to read them or not, and if I'm not sure then they go on death row. If I don't want to read them they go. And anyway, so this is one of them. This is The Queen's Sorrow by Susanna Dunn. I didn't love the first couple of chapters of this that I read when I picked it up, but I read one of her books last year, The Lady of Misrule, which is about Lady Jane Grey, and I really enjoyed that one. This one is about Mary Tudor. Because I enjoyed that other one, I feel like I should give this one a go, even though the first 20-30 pages or so didn't interest me that much because I enjoyed the other one, so I'm going to give it a try. Next, I'm going to talk about my book clubs. So actually, Ninja Book Club haven't announced what their March read is yet. The theme is Kids or YA. Again, just after I filmed that video, the Ninja Book Club book pick for March was announced, and that is The Starlight Watchmaker by Lauren James. This is published by Barrington Stoke. I think it is middle grade rather than YA, but it's Barrington Stoke are a publisher that specialise in books designed for people, I think particularly with dyslexia, who struggle to read regular books. So I don't know if you can tell, but the pages are sort of a slightly yellow colour and the font is a font that's meant to be easier to read. So I actually had this pre-ordered. I bought this last year because I'm a big fan of Lauren James, and I actually suggested this one for our book club, so I'm really looking forward to reading it in March, and hopefully it won't take too long. For my theology book club, the next book we are reading is called Sustaining Leadership by Paul Swann, which is about self-care, sustaining effective long-term ministry, looking at self-care, balance and healthy ministry. This one I think I'm really going to enjoy because self-care is something that I'm quite passionate about and try to practice in my life because it's something that really helps me manage my mental health and keep myself mentally well. So I think there's more to it than that, but that is definitely something that it focuses on. It was like I was reading the other day about how when you're on a plane they always say on their the health and safety briefing, if the oxygen bags fall, then you need to put yours on before you try and help anyone else with theirs, because if you don't put yours on first, then you'll run out of oxygen, you won't be able to help the other people. And that's, to me, what self-care is like, particularly for people with leadership responsibility. So I do quite a lot of volunteering at my church and have quite a lot of responsibility, and also my work. I've had some time off due to my mental health. I'm now sort of easing my way back in, but part of that is about, you can only work effectively and lead effectively if you are taking care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself first, then you're going to burn out, and I've been through burnout a couple of times and it's not fun. So hopefully this book will be really practical, really helpful for me. Next, my Read Around the World pick that I'm going to try and get to in March is Shadows on the Tundra by, I'm going to say this wrong and I should have looked up how to pronounce it, Dalia Grinkeviciute. I'm sorry, I've probably mangled that. This, I think, is actually non-fiction. It's Lithuanian. The author was from Lithuania. The author and her family were deported to a labour camp in Siberia during the Second World War, and she escapes. She wrote down everything, all her experiences, on a small piece of paper and buried them in her garden because she thought they'd be destroyed if they were discovered by the KGB, and they were found in 1991, which was 4 years after she died, and this is that book, which is really cool. That's a really cool story. This was actually, I think, the first book I received from my Perrine Press subscription, and I've been meaning to read it for ages, and I've not read any Lithuanian authors before, so I'm quite excited to get to this one. Next are the oldest books on my TBR. I'm going to try and get to, I don't know if I will, but I really want to be reading more Dickens. So I've got Barnaby Rudge by Charles Dickens. I'm not sure I'm actually going to read it in these editions because he's quite old and fragile. I'm probably going to read it in my collected works editions, which has another book with it as well. But I've been meaning to read more classics, more Dickens for a while, particularly more Dickens since I have the complete works now. But yeah, I want to be reading more classics in general as well, so I'm going to try and get to these in March. That's already quite a lot, and if I was just reading that and the books I didn't manage to read in February, then that would be good, and then I would be able to tackle some more of my TBR, you would think. However, I have this weakness that I have talked about before, which is the library. I do this thing where I'll hear about a book on Twitter or on BookTube, and I'll be like, oh, I'll just see if the library has that. My level of interest in the book can actually vary as well. There can be books that I'm not like crazy interested in, just a little bit interested in, but if the library has them, then suddenly they're very exciting. So I request them and think they won't come in for ages, and then suddenly they all come in at once. So I have a lot of library books out again, because also the other issue I have that, again, I think I've talked about, is that I seem to only be able to borrow library books in pairs, particularly if I've been feeling stressed or anxious or struggling with my mental health. I think it's a slight OCD tendency, one of the slight OCD tendencies I have, that I feel like I have to borrow books in pairs. So if I'm going to pick up a library book and only one, I've requested one book and it's come in, then I have to pick up another book so that I have an even number. Yeah, I've ended up with quite a lot here. I have got a couple that I need to return, which is why I'm now going to talk about an odd number of books. One of them I'm already reading, so I'm going to start with this one. This is non-fiction. This is called The Four Pillar Plan by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. I've been having some therapy through work and some phone counselling, and my therapist recommended his podcast, which is called Feel Better, Live More, and I've been really enjoying that podcast. He talks about this book in his podcast. I thought I'd pick it up. It's about improving your health, but in a more holistic way. So he's a doctor, he's a GP, but he's quite into social prescribing and not necessarily prescribing chemical medications for everything, but trying to find other alternative ways of improving a person's health without necessarily resorting to medications that often have side effects or can mask other conditions. The Four Pillar Plan, it talks about relaxation, eating, movement and sleep. I am on the second section, which is eating. The idea is he has several suggestions for each pillar of how you can improve in that area, but doesn't recommend that you try and do all of them because that would just be overwhelming. A lot of his ethos is about making being healthy simpler, because there's a lot of conflicting messages out there. Yeah, some of the suggestions I'm like, actually that's not practical for me right now, but some of the others I'm like are really simple. So one of the ones from Relax was about gratitude, acknowledging 3 things every day that make you grateful. It's called a morning mastery journal that a friend gave me to help me with routine while I was off work, and I'm finding it really useful. But part of it is at the end of the day you write a little overview of what your day has been like before you plan out your next morning. So what I started doing with that overview is writing 3 things every day that I'm grateful for, or 3 good things that have happened that day, to try and improve my gratitude levels. That as is a form of self-care as well. So yeah, I'm finding this really helpful so far. If I find it really useful, I might try and get my own copy. On with the stack. I'm not gonna go through these in any particular order of how soon I'm gonna read them. They're just the whole stack. I mean, I'm not going to limit myself to say I have to read all of these this month or I'll return them, because some of them will take me a bit longer to get to or get through. So the plan is I'll let myself renew them a couple of times if I need to, because I do still want to balance it out with reading books that I own as well, and I'm going to try not to request any more books. Anyway, so the first one, which I probably will get to because I think there's a couple more people waiting for it. This is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo last year and really enjoyed it. I've heard a lot of people saying a lot of good things about Daisy Jones and the Six. I think it's partly inspired by the story of Fleetwood Mac, who are a band that I really like. I am quite keen to read this. It's been on my Amazon wishlist for a while, and then I found out that the library actually had copies, which made me very excited. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to this one. I will try and pick this one up soon because I think there are a couple more people on the reserves list for it, and the library doesn't have that many copies, so I'm definitely going to be getting to this one soon. So next we have the ones that maybe will take me a bit longer to get through. So the first one of these is Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. This is a collection of essays about race, sexuality, feminism, and sort of this idea of being outsiders. It's a collection of essays and letters and different things. I've heard a lot of good things about Audre Lorde as a writer, and I've been meaning to try and pick up some of her stuff for a while. It being non-fiction and a collection of essays, I am still reading The Good Immigrant at the moment, which was our Ninja Book Club pick for February, so I'll probably wait to finish that one before I start this one, because I can only read so much challenging non-fiction at one time. And then again, this one I'll probably wait to read until I am not reading anything of a similar style. So this is The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, but this is actually, I think it's a couple of other short stories as well. So my reading habits, I tend to have one novel, one Christian non-fiction, one regular non-fiction, and one collection, so like short stories or poetry or essays or plays or that sort of thing on the go at the same time. So at the moment I've got The Four Pillar Plan as my non-fiction and The Good Immigrant as my collections. So this one will wait until after finishing The Good Immigrant, and I don't know whether I'll pick this one up or the Audre Lorde up first, but that's my intention, is that I'll read one of these at a time. Next we have Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay. So this is, I'm not sure when it was written actually. I think it's considered a modern classic. I have recently watched the TV series, so this was made into a TV series a couple of years ago. Apparently there's a film made in the 70s as well, which is also really good. So I literally just finished watching the TV series yesterday, or the day before. When I heard it was based on a book, I wanted to read the book. The basic premise is it's set at a finishing school for girls in Australia around the turn of the 20th century, so 1900. The pupils go on a picnic and 3 of the girls disappear at this picnic, and no one knows what's happened to them. So it's got historical thrillery vibe. The TV series was really brilliant, really well constructed and put together, so I'm really intrigued to see what actually happens in the book and how it varies, how it's different from that. The TV series didn't have a lot of resolution to it, so I am a bit nervous going into this because I have to be in the right frame of mind for books that don't resolve. I don't mind books that don't resolve. I don't have to have everything tied up in a neat little bow at the end of a book, but I might wait until like the end of the month to read this just in case, because I don't think it resolves. Next we have a science fiction book called Hold Back the Stars by Katie Kahn. So I heard Justine from I Should Read That talking about this book a while back and have intended to pick it up at some point if I saw it, and on one of the days where I was looking for a second book from the library to have my pair of books, I saw this on the shelf, so I picked this up. This is about 2 people on a spaceship that is running out of oxygen, and it's about the last 90 minutes on that spaceship before they run out of oxygen, and I don't know any more about it than that but I remember Justine saying some good things about it, so quite looking forward to that one. And it's quite short as well, hopefully will be quite a quick read. The next one was one I heard about on Twitter. There has been some controversy recently, I can't remember what it was, about people saying that some TV series or other couldn't have been accurate because it had people of colour in it and it was set in the Tudor times, and then someone on Twitter was talking about this book and I really wanted to read it straight away. So this is called Black Tudors, which is about people of colour in the Tudor times, because we had ships in those days. There weren't just white people around. So I'm really keen to read this. This is non-fiction. It feels like it's going to be a bit more narrative. It's broken up in sections about different people that the author has researched and found out about. Yeah, this will probably be my next book when I finish my current non-fiction book, The Four Pillar Man. And then we have another science fiction. We have Provenance by Ann Leckie. You've heard me rave about Ann Leckie before. I recently finished the Imperial Rudge trilogy. This book is, I think, set in the same world but follows different characters, but it's like a standalone. Yeah, I just really want to read more Ann Leckie, and she has a fantasy book out which the library doesn't have yet, so at some point I might have to treat myself to that. But I don't really know what this is about, just that Ann Leckie wrote it and so I want to read it. And then finally, I have the next book that I haven't read in the Peter Grant series by Ben Aaronovitch. This is called Foxglove Summer. I think it might be the 5th book in that series. The Peter Grant series follows Peter Grant, who is a police officer in London, but he is also a wizard. So he is one of the few police officers that deal with magical crime. I feel like I'm not going to explain this very well. All the otherworldly stuff that the regular police force can't deal with. He and his mentor, D.I. Nightingale, deal with, so like previous books have involved vampires and people that live underground and magical practitioners. Yeah, I enjoy each book in the series greatly when I read them, and it's been a little while, and so again when I needed a second book so I'd have a pair, I saw this on the shelf and I thought, oh, yeah, it's time to pick that one up. I can't definitely say that I'm definitely going to read all of them. I probably won't actually finish all of them in March, although my reading habits have picked up a little bit now. But I'm back to work now, so I have less reading time than I did when I was off, obviously. So we'll see how it goes and how many of those I actually get through. So let me know if you've any of those and if you think I should prioritise any of them, and let me know what you thought of them if you have read them. Talk to me down in the comments about what you're planning to read in March. Are you taking part in any readathons? If you have any of these books on your TBR, you want to buddy read them, let me know that as well, because that would be fun. So yeah, just have a chat to me down in the comments. Please like this video if you liked it. Please think about subscribing if you haven't already, and you can also follow me on my social media. All that information is always listed in the description box below for you. But that's it for today, so thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!